trying to get at the root cause. Why are men in such crisis? I mean, the stats are like only 40% go to college. So they're losing out to women there in a big way. And women with degrees don't marry men who don't have degrees. So... Great, you'll be lonely forever, aren't you? Why are you cheering that? That's not...
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. First of all, let me say this. I just want to appreciate everyone who supports the channel, everyone that subscribes, everyone that comments. Your support is greatly appreciated. I live in the Northeast, so we just got hit with a lot of snow, man. And I have a really big driveway. My driveway is shaped like a horseshoe. So whenever it snows, yeah, I'm out there shoveling from end to end. And I had to shovel my way out today. We got about 4 inches of snow, something like that. So it wasn't too deep, but like I said, I have a big driveway. So shoveling that out was a nightmare. And man, I also work out. So I have a lower back injury that I got from working out. Actually doing leg presses. I was pressing a lot of weight, and instead of having my back flush against the seat, I had it off of the seat, trying to give myself more leverage to push the weight, because the weight was it was pretty heavy at that point. Ever since then, and I messed my lower back up. Ever since then, my lower back has been messed up. Like, it gets better, but whenever I do something to aggravate it, like, it comes right back again. So that's something important out there for you guys to know. Let me tell you right now that protect your back as much as you can. If you lift weights, if you're a person that works out, and I've been working out for years, and you lift free weights, and you're adamant about using free weights, at some point you will sustain an injury. It's the inevitable, because you're progressively overloading your muscles, your tendons, your joints, your ligaments, and all of our bodies are different. We all have different genetic potential. So your tendons, ligaments, and joints may be able to withstand heavier loads of weight, whereas someone else's won't. Like, I, for one, know that certain exercises, once I go to a certain weight, it's the danger zone for me. So I shovel myself out. I came across this video. I like Bill Maher. I don't agree with everything he says, but I do agree with a lot of what he says. And as men, that's fine. We're men. We're not women. We don't have to agree with everything someone says. Women are like that. They like to agree with everything a person says in order for them to get along with them. As men, we don't operate that way. We can agree. We can be cordial or friendly, or have a best friend who we don't share the same opinion and views on everything. That's reality. That's living in reality. You're never going to agree 100% with anybody. I am a Jordan Peterson fan, and I don't agree with everything he says. You're never going to. So don't just align yourself with people who you agree with everything, because if you do that, you'll never align yourself with anyone. You just need to line up with the core values. That is your baseline. And if you can start from the core values, then, all the other stuff is not that much important, to be honest with you. But anyway, this video is about Bill Maher has a show on HBO called Real Time, and they're talking about the problem that we're having in today's society with men. About men not dating, marriage, the fundamental underlying of relationships, the decline in marriages, the decline in relationships, and just the dating market in general. Now, we're going to see if they touch on what's really happening in the dating market, or if they're just going to say a whole bunch of BS fluff that they usually say. If you remember a video I did a while ago, there was a young woman on there talking about the issues with dating today, and she put it all on the men. Said that men need to adapt, men need to get up to the level where women are at, and she basically blamed the men, which is not anything new for us. We know that's what women do. Accountability to women is kryptonite. Women never hold themselves accountable, guys. If you look throughout history, the accountability that women was held to was always the standard that men set. Men said if you had women out of wedlock, we will not marry you. You are undesirable. So what did that do? That forced women to have children out of wedlock. Men said if you have sex before marriage, we do not want you. What did that do? That forced women to not have sex before marriage. So men have always been the bearers and the standard makers. The problem that we have today is men have been emasculated. So anytime men come in and try to set a standard with their dating preferences, preferences as a wife, preferences of how a woman should act, they get a rebuttal. They get persecuted. They get labeled. This is to keep you from setting standards. This is a shaming tactic to shame you, to keep you quiet, to not destroy your voice. They are doing that, but there's a better word for it. But they're basically trying to keep men quiet and shame them into silence so that these standards are not mentioned, and more importantly than just mentioned, so they're not enforced. So let's see if they touch on any of this, or is this just another take that's not touching the underlying issue in today's society, which is emasculated men and masculine women. Let's see.
I didn't tell my wife.
They don't marry as much, which I think is great, but other people think that's a terrible thing. Okay, people do like a mate, whatever. That's whatever your boat floats by. But there is something going on. I mean, mass shootings is a uniquely male crime.
Now, Bill Maher brings up mass shootings. That is a good observation, and they do match. They do add up, and they do match up with one another. Before I touch on that, though, let me shuffle back to the beginning when he said women who have college degrees don't marry men who don't have college degrees. Only 40% of men are going to college to get degrees. We already know why this reason is. Women are hypergamous. We know that. Women will only marry a guy that they see equal to them, or a guy that is greater than them, that they see that is above them. Women have always been like that, because in order for a woman to be in a relationship with a man and to submit to him, she has to see him as at least an equal or as a superior. That's why the boss usually gets with and marries the secretary. It's usually in that way. Women, in their mind, when they settle for a man, they're settling for someone who's at least equal to them. He has to be equal, but their desire is for a superior. This is why women who have college degrees tend to only marry guys who have college degrees, because if he doesn't have a college degree, they do not see him as an equal. And he has to be seen as an equal in her eyes or as a superior. This is why this happens. Why only 40% of men getting college degrees today? Well, I talked about this in another video. The reason for that is because men no longer see light at the end of the tunnel. There was always a prize to be had for a man that went out there in the world and achieved. He was guaranteed to get an attractive wife. He was guaranteed to get a family. He was guaranteed to have a marriage that lasted until he left this earth. And that is no longer the case. Men are seeing that there is no light and there is no prize at the end of the tunnel anymore. They are not going to get what their great-great-grandfathers got and their great-great-great-grandfathers got. And on top of that, their great-great-great-grandfathers got a better quality of woman. They got a more submissive woman, a more feminine woman, a better quality woman, a more domesticated woman than they'll get today. So a lot of men have basically given up. When there is no light at the end of the tunnel, when there is no prize to be had after all the hard work, men give up. So they are now unmotivated. They get more motivation from doing things that suits them or benefits them only than going out there and working hard, getting college degree, doing all this stuff, when at the end of the tunnel, at the end of that rainbow, there's no pot of gold.
It's always because some dude in Buffalo, had somebody swipe left on him too much. I feel like that's what's going on here, is a lot of sort of maleness coming to the fore and announcing itself in violence and racism and hatred because they're lonely and lost and feel that they are not useful in society.
The most sense?
How did we get there?
The most sense?
So Bill Maher hit the nail on the head. I don't know how many of you out there are religious. I am. If you're not, okay. But I'm going to reference a Bible reference. If you go to the book of Genesis, in the book of Genesis, God says it is not good for man to be alone. There is a reason why he said that. It's not just for procreation reasons. It's not just for companionship. It's not just for sex to bring forth children and to start a family. That is a part of it, but that is not the whole enchilada. When men do not have the ability to have a companion, to have a mate, to have a family, to start a legacy, when a man no longer believes that this is something that he can attain or this is something that is in his grasp, he loses purpose. We are purpose driven. Men are purpose driven. We are purpose driven and we love goals. When a man doesn't have a purpose, when a man doesn't have a goal, and he believes that he doesn't have a purpose and he believes he doesn't have a goal, he will create one. And most of the time, not most of the times, but a lot of the times, the purpose that he gets behind is something that is evil, something that is ill intent. The mass shootings, the terrorism, the different things that men get themselves into because we are a generation of men that don't have a purpose. Because society in corporate America, because this is all financial, this is all profit driven. Society and corporations have made it so men are useless. All the value that men bring has been outsourced, and what hasn't been outsourced, society and corporations have convinced women that the things that men do have are not things that are worth having. So this created a society of men who now feel worthless. And when you have a society where the men feel worthless, you're going to see one thing, and that is chaos. Chaos and carnage. Actually, two things. Men need to have a purpose. And when men's purpose was their family, their wives, their children, men were in check. Men were a benefit to society. And we have a lot of men today that would be a exponential benefit to society if only they had a purpose. But they've been stripped of their purpose because they've been told that they are worthless.
Unstable nations in the world have one thing in common, and that is they have too many lonely, broke, and alone men. It's the most dangerous person in the world. Salman Rushdie wasn't attacked because of the fatwa. He was attacked because a guy was living in his mother's basement. We have a crisis among young men, and it starts at a young age. Young men are twice as likely on a behavior-adjusted basis to be suspended. 7 in 10 high school valedictorians are women. For every two female graduates from college in the next 5 years, you'll only have one. The scariest stat, walking down the avenue that is America, only 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 have had sex in the last year. And you hear sex and your brain fires. But the bottom line is, it's a key step to the elemental foundation of any society, and that is relationship.
Listen to what he said. He pulled out a stat that a large percentage of men under, what did he say? Over 30, under 30? I got to rewind that back.
But the bottom line is, 5 years you'll only have one. The scariest stat, walking down the avenue that is America, only 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 have had sex in the last year. And you hear
only 1 in 3 men. That means 33% of the male population under 30 has had sex in the last year. Why is this alarming? Because of what I said earlier. Man should not be alone. It's the reason why one of the most horrific things you can do to an individual to torture them, to punish them, is to isolate them. There's a reason for that. Because we were created to be social beings. We were created for social interaction. This is why social media, online dating, this is why I speak out against all this stuff. This is the reason why. because it takes away from the basic need that all human beings need, which is touch and social interaction. When only 33% of men are having intimate relationships with women in a year under the age of 30, that means you have a lot of lonely men, you have a lot of desperate men, you have a lot of men that are suffering. This is going to produce very undesirable results. We're already seeing it with women. And it just manifests itself different. Women don't typically become violent when this happens. They become increasingly delusional. They become sluts. They become whores. But they don't typically become violent. Their issues with this doesn't manifest itself in that way. It manifests itself in a way that I just said. You know, they'll go on TikTok, they'll cry on Instagram and make TikTok videos complaining, and so it manifests itself that way. With men, they usually walk away, or a lot of them turn to things that he said. They tend to find a purpose, and that purpose tends to not be good, because men need a purpose. Lack of companionship, lack of intimacy will create all kinds of mental and emotional disorders in human beings. But in this particular case, we're talking about men. Men don't want to be, there's a reason why there's a term cat lady and not cat man. Women manifest this stuff in different ways. Getting cats, drinking wine at night. Guys don't tend to do that.
Sex and your brain fires. But the bottom line is, it's a key step to the elemental foundation of any society, and that is relationships. Young men aren't attaching to work. They aren't attaching to women. They aren't attaching to schools. We are producing too many of the most dangerous person in society, and we are losing out on a key. We're not going to have kids. We're not going to have a productive society. We're going to have more violence, and also we're going to have a society that does not value young men, and they do not. Young men are different. They develop later. And by the way, if you're a young man, this work from home thing is a disaster. They need young men.
Now, I'm going to push back on this work from home thing. People always, work from home issue is kind of like politics. Like, people always find a way to try to throw it in there. I don't know if you guys go to church or listen to a they even do it at church. Like, people who are Democrats or Republicans, they always find a way to kind of slide in their personal opinions on something. And I feel like he did that there. He can truly believe this stuff. I don't know the guy. He can truly be genuine. But the issue that I have with what he says is that this was a problem way before work from home. I think COVID just kind of exacerbated it and just sped it up. But this was a problem. This has been a problem since online dating became a boom, since social media became a boom. So I think he may believe what he's saying, but I think it's a disingenuous statement, because this has been a disaster. Like, don't just blame work from home for this. This did not just happen 4 years ago. This has been happening. Mainstream media has just been ignoring it. But men have been complaining about this for decades. Go look at the YouTube videos of men doing videos on online dating, having the same profile that they always had, but just switching the photo, taking themselves out, putting a more attractive person on there, and boom, they're getting messages after message after message after message. It had nothing to do with their profile. But these online dating coaches, this is the problem that I have with them, with these female online dating coaches. They will sell you, what they're selling is hope. They're not selling truth, they're selling hope. They're telling you, if you do your profile like this, you do your profile like that. If you say this, don't say that. It's all, excuse my language, it's all bullshit. Because the same guys with those same profiles, if you just change the picture, change the photo, and put a more attractive guy on there, it works. The same crap that you hear when women say, I don't want a guy with his shirt off, he's a douche, blah, 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 blah. It's a lie. This experiment has been debunked. I've done this experiment. I've done it where I've created an online profile, put a picture on there without the shirt, picture on there with a shirt, still got messages. I even questioned one of the girls in the message. I didn't know you were responding because you said in your profile you don't like guys with no shirt. and she made up some. I don't. This was years ago, but she made up some stupid BS line. This is, guys, don't listen to what women say. Watch what women do. You know, I'm a big proponent of that.
And young men need guardrails. They need to know how to read a room. They need to put on a clean shirt. They know not to get high or drink too much during the week and then get into the office the next day. We have a crisis among young men. It is one of the most, in my view, one of the most dangerous things in our society.
And where do you put the phone in this equation? Because I put it high up. Because, thank you. Because I was reading recently, Tinder, 2-to-1 male to female.
Oh.
What?
No, it's just a startling statistic, yeah.
Right. Well, why is it startling? I mean, it sounds like a great idea. Oh, I can just order women like I do a pizza on my phone. I think I'll have the Kelly today. Except when you go on it, it weeds out the people who aren't the best looking, I think, because it used to be go to a bar. Okay, maybe it was potluck, but you have to be able to learn to 100%. Talk to a woman. I don't think they had to talk to a woman anymore.
All right, so Bill Maher brought up the cell phone, and then he went into Tinder. So he's kind of going into the online dating thing. I agree with the online dating thing. I just don't agree with his spin on it. He kind of spinned it that men are trying to order women. It's not what's happening. There are still guys going out to bars. Most people in bars are men. It's not like men stop going to bars. Most people in the clubs are men. So the places where men go to meet women, it's still the majority going there are still men. He would have a point if men stop going to these places. If men stop going to bars, men stop going to clubs, then he would have a point that men are just lazy now and they're trying to order women. But that's not what's going on. Men are still going there. So he brought up Tinder. It was good that he brought up that because that falls in line with the online dating component. But where he failed is saying it's men trying to order women. No. Men just use online dating as another avenue to meet women. They're still trying to meet them in bars. They're still trying to meet them in clubs. They're still trying to meet them at parties. But this is an extra avenue. But he is spot on about it ruling out the most unattractive, the men that are the least attractive. This is the problem, because not everyone is photogenic. Not everyone has model type looks. Some men are handsome and distinguished, but a woman would not necessarily see that until they met them in person. This is why human interaction is important, because the way a man presents when he walks into a room or when you're in his presence is completely different than you looking at still photos of him on online dating profile. One is just a image. That's all it is. It's a still image, and then you form an ideal in your head. That is completely different from you being in the presence of someone, interacting with them, talking with them. This is called chemistry. You can build no chemistry with a picture, with a photo. Doesn't happen. Chemistry only happens in person. This is why I tell men to get off of online dating sites. Get off of there. Unless you're an extremely handsome guy and you're not really looking for a meaningful relationship. I'm not pushing just meaningless sex, but I'm saying if you are a really good looking guy and all you want is just different dates and you just want like casual sexual encounters, then I can see why that you would online date. But if you want something serious, something that's going to lead to forever, then online dating is not the place to find it. It's not. Now, some people say, well, I met my husband on there, or I met my fiance on there. Yeah, and sometimes Shaquille O'Neal, hit his free throws. But does that make it a good strategy? No.
Because it's just on the phone. It's just like, what's up? And then, what's up? And send a picture of your penis. Like, that's going to work.
Sometimes. So
sometimes
you asked about the phone. Simply put, it's a disaster. Whenever technology comes into an industry, it consolidates it. Mating has been consolidated in the worst way.
And let me add this. What Bill Maher is doing is what a lot of people do. They're putting the emphasis on the man. That it's the man's fault that it's the man's behavior that needs to change in order for this to change. See, so they're missing it. They're missing why men's behavior is where it's at today. They're missing the cause of it. Men are adapters. Men adapt. If good-looking men could not meet women online and have sex with them, if that was, they could not do that, men would not do it. Men do it because it works for certain type of men. This is why they do it. So again, we have men putting the emphasis and the blame on men. So they're missing it.
50 men on Tinder, 50 women. 46 of the women show all of their attention to just 4 men, leaving 46 men pursuing just 4 women. If mating was a country, it would be more unequal than Venezuela. We have huge mating inequality.
He's hitting on it. So he's hitting on something here. Let's see where he goes.
And here's the problem. When people don't get together and there's no pheromones and there's no vibe, women, and we don't like to say this on the left, primarily try and make very quick assumptions about this individual's ability to garner resources in the future. So what you have is this concentration of interest, and you're ending up with Porsche polygamy, where 10% of the men get 90% of the attention, which does not lead to good behavior or form long-term relationships.
Okay, he just hit on it. He just hit on it, my man. All right, so he, was on the slippery slope earlier, but he hit on it. He just used different terminology. He was talking about pheromones and all this other stuff. I use the word chemistry. This is why human interaction is important, guys. If you are a guy that does online dating and you're not getting a lot of success, it's because you do not fit the ideal man for online dating. There's an ideal man that fits online dating, and he is the man, like this individual said, women are chasing. Women are chasing the top men. They're ignoring the rest. Why? Because there is no human-to-human interaction. She could feel and would feel completely different about a lot of these men if she was in the same room with them, if she was able to interact with them, or in his terms, if there was an exchange of hormones or pheromones, whatever he said. That's the problem. So with online dating, women have an ideal guy that they're looking for online, and then they make an assessment based on how he looks. She assesses his looks and she says, well, I'll have chemistry with him. I'll have passion with him. But she won't. It's just a picture. A picture does not tell the story. A picture is just a picture.
Commerce was disastrous for retail. Social media was disastrous for everybody. Online dating is disastrous for mating and for men. It's terrible.
Nice. So he wrapped it up by saying that online dating is a disaster for men, which is 1,000%. But not just men, it's a disaster for women as well. They just manifest themselves differently. Online dating has increased the amount of men who are lonely, who are unable to be intimate with women. And on a woman's side, it created a bunch of unsatisfied women who just become, whether they want to end up this way or not, they just become promiscuous women. They just become used up because they hop from man to man to man to man, and they just become used up. They're emotionally destroyed. They're psychologically destroyed. They're just no good anymore. They're not able to even have a close connection with a man now because they've just been used up and ran through so much. This is the problem with online dating, and this is the problem with social media. It has created a chasm between men and women where we become communicators through electronics. In electronics, you cannot build a rapport. In electronics, you cannot build chemistry. There's not that exchange. So this was actually a pretty good video. There are a couple of things that they didn't get right, but for the most part, I think they got everything right. Let me know what you guys think. I'll leave this link below so you can check it out. Again, I've been a long time watcher of Bill Maher. I don't agree with everything he says, but I do agree with a lot he says. A lot of the things he says does make sense, and that's just life. There's a lot of people you're going to like that you're not going to agree with everything they say, which is 1,000% fine. So guys, let me know what you think. Leave your comments. Let me know if you do online dating. A lot of people do. I mean, I don't, but I think I'm probably in the minority. So let me guys know if you do online dating. I'll leave a link below, and I'll talk to you soon.